Gryphon Audio Designs. The Gryphon Company was founded in Denmark in 1985 by Flemming E Rasmussen as a subsidiary of his distribution company, 2R Marketing. Rasmussen, a graduate of the Academy of Arts in Aarhus, had a dream: to achieve music reproduction in home audio systems with a clarity and liveliness comparable to a live concert. The brand name Gryphon was not chosen at random. The Gryphon is a mythological creature with the body of a lion and the head of an eagle, symbolizing a combination of power and grace that reflects the company's philosophy of creating technology that has both the power of a lion and the grace of an eagle. Gryphon's first product was a phono preamplifier for MC cartridges called the Gryphon Head Amp, originally created by Rasmussen for his own personal use in his spare time. In 1986, at the CES exhibition in Chicago, this compact device caught the attention of a reputable Japanese distributor, and soon the Japanese audio press awarded it the status of Best Buy. Not expecting commercial success, Rasmussen initially treated Gryphon as a hobby, but enthusiastic reviews and demand encouraged him to establish Gryphon Audio Designs as a separate company. This is how the brand's history began. By the early 1990s, Gryphon had gained its first international recognition, although Rasmussen initially continued to import audio equipment at the same time. However, the rapidly growing success of his own products led him to completely shut down his distribution business by 1993, focusing exclusively on the development of Gryphon. Gryphon's first products set the course. Rasmussen, who had trained as a graphic artist, paid attention not only to sound, but also to the appearance of his products. Each component received a distinctive design and premium finish. From the outset, Gryphon's technical philosophy has been minimalist: no unnecessary functionality in order to preserve signal purity. The company was one of the first in the world to implement the dual mono concept, separate power supply and signal path for each channel. All Gryphon amplifiers traditionally operate in pure Class A for signal linearity, and most models operate without global negative feedback. This approach meant that Gryphon devices were often large, quick to heat up and very expensive, but it was on this foundation that the brand built its reputation. In 1991, Gryphon released its first power amplifier, the DM100, designed for true audiophiles. This two-block stereo amplifier with 100 watts per channel in Class A proved to be one of the most powerful and clean amplifiers of its time, demonstrating Gryphon's engineering ideals in practice. A few years later, Gryphon introduced the Reference 1 monoblock amplifiers, raising the bar even higher in terms of power and sound quality for high-end home systems. A pair of these rare monoblocks now adorn the company's museum at Gryphon headquarters. In the mid-1990s, the first amplifiers were replaced by a new flagship series. In 1995, the legendary Gryphon Antilleon made its debut. The original Antilleon stereo version and its single-ended monoblock Antilleon Solo became the direct successors to the DM100 model. Antilleon cemented Gryphon's status as a manufacturer of reference amplifiers. These were bulky, heavy devices with huge heat sinks, capable of delivering hundreds of watts in classic Class A, that is, in essence, heating the room even in the absence of a signal, but reproducing music with incredible accuracy and dynamics. In addition to power amplifiers, Gryphon developed other areas in the 1990s. In 1993, the brand's first preamplifier appeared, the Gryphon Line Stage, which continued the minimalist ideology of signal purity. A little later, the Tabu series components were released, a more affordable integrated amplifier and preamplifier by the company's standards, which allowed a wider audience to get acquainted with Gryphon's signature sound. At the same time, the company experimented with accessories. For example, the Black Exorcist device, introduced in 1996, served to demagnetize the system's contact connections, a rather exotic but telling example of Gryphon's audiophile maximalism. By the end of the decade, Gryphon's portfolio included a full range of high-end equipment, from phono preamplifiers to powerful power amplifiers, and the company confidently occupied a niche as one of the leaders in European high-end audio. In 2002, Gryphon released its first CD player, the Adagio model, followed by the more advanced Mikado, 2003, which became a kind of statement that digital sources could also be manufactured to ultra-high-end standards. Later, the range of digital sources expanded with the release of the Scorpio CD player and Calliope converter, allowing brand enthusiasts to build complete Gryphon systems. Of course, the company did not forget about analog products. In 2000, the Legato Phono amplifier appeared, and a little later, the PS1 modular phono preamplifier, solutions for vinyl, made with the same emphasis on detail. A bold move by Gryphon in the new millennium was the decision to enter the market segment of loudspeakers. Since the mid-1990s, Rasmussen had been contemplating the idea of creating a pair of speakers to complement his amplifiers, and after nearly a decade of research, in 2004, the company introduced the Gryphon Poseidon, a giant loudspeaker system. This 4-block, 2-tower modules per channel, speaker system, standing 2.3 meters tall, made a big impression on the public. Poseidon was the first realization of Gryphon's research in the field of loudspeakers. In fact, the company developed and manufactured its own drivers and enclosures from scratch in order to achieve the goal of getting as close as possible to live sound. Later, Gryphon continued to experiment with integrating electronics and acoustics into unified, coordinated setups. For example, Gryphon Trident, 2006, and Atlantis, 2007, offered slightly more compact, compared to Poseidon, versions of ultimate-class floor-standing speakers. And in 2009, the unusual Gryphon Mojo minispeakers were released, small two-way monitors that were capable of creating a large soundstage despite their size. Thus, by the end of the 2000s, Gryphon had become a manufacturer not only of high-end components, but also of expensive luxury speakers. Of course, Gryphon did not forget about its core, amplifier technology. In 2005, the company took another important step by introducing its first high-end integrated amplifier, the Gryphon Diablo. This powerful machine combined the principles and circuitry of Gryphon's reference separate components in a single chassis. Diablo immediately became the brand's bestseller. Many audiophiles appreciated the opportunity to get Gryphon's signature sound in a simpler form factor without a separate preamp and power amp. A decade later, Gryphon decided to improve on an already successful device, releasing a new version in 2015, the Diablo 300, with even more impressive output power, 300 watts per channel, and modern features, optional DAC module and phono preamplifier. At the same time, the company updated its top-of-the-line amplifiers. Around 2009, the Coliseum series, stereo and monoblocks, appeared, elegant power amplifiers with curved chassis, which became the new flagship instead of Antilleon. And in 2011, Gryphon introduced the extremely expensive Mephisto amplifier, which was positioned as the undisputed top-of-the-line and came with a 20-year warranty, underscoring the company's confidence in its creation. The Mephisto was paired with the Pandora 2-block preamplifier. Together they represented the pinnacle of Gryphon's engineering at the time. Thus, by the end of the 2010s, Gryphon's range included several lines of amplifiers from integrated to monoblocks, several models of preamplifiers, DACs, CD players, speakers of various formats, cables, stands, a complete set of ultra-high-end solutions. In 2014, Gryphon surprised its customers once again with the release of the Gryphon Pendragon loudspeaker system. This 4-block system continued the Poseidon concept, but with one important difference. The Pendragon used a long, almost the entire height of the column, ribbon radiator in the high-frequency and mid-frequency sections. The fact is that Flemming Rasmussen was a long-time fan of ribbon speakers and dreamed of implementing a similar principle in his own project. Pendragon became the embodiment of this dream, a combination of active subwoofer towers with powerful built-in Gryphon amplifiers and passive towers with a ribbon emitter and an array of mid-range and high-frequency drivers. The sound capabilities of this system were truly outstanding. Although its setup and placement required knowledge and patience, Rasmussen himself noted that Pendragon's potential was not immediately apparent, but under optimal conditions it would perform like no other. Interestingly, just 2 years later, Gryphon introduced Gryphon Kodo, a new flagship system that was even more ambitious and sophisticated. Some were surprised that Kodo came out so soon after Pendragon, but Rasmussen explained that Kodo was developed as the successor to the old Poseidon and in no way replaced Pendragon. Both systems coexisted in the catalogue, offering different approaches. Kodo moved away from ribbon drivers in favor of a classic design, but surpassed Pendragon in terms of maximum loudness, dynamic range, and amplifier load simplicity. As a result, Kodo, priced at around €220,000 per set, took the top spot in the Gryphon lineup in 2016, while Pendragon remained as an alternative flagship for ribbon tweeter enthusiasts. At the same time, Gryphon also released more compact speaker models, such as the Pantheon floor-standing speakers, presented at the Munich exhibition in 2014, priced at around €35,000, which delivered Gryphon's signature sound in medium-sized rooms. Thus, by the end of the 2010s, the company offered speakers of various levels, from the compact Mojo S to the giant Kodo, covering the needs of audio systems of different scales. In 2018, Gryphon underwent a significant change in its history when its founder and long-standing CEO, Flemming Rasmussen, announced his retirement after 33 years at the helm of the company. The reason for this was hearing problems that had begun to affect the 65-year-old engineer. Rasmussen honestly admitted that his progressive hearing loss was preventing him from continuing to monitor sound at the same level as before, and he preferred to leave at the right time. The handover went according to plan. Jacob Odgaard, a longtime colleague and associate of Rasmussen, became the new CEO of Gryphon. Flemming himself remained with the company for some time as a consultant and creative director to ensure continuity in development. Later, Flemming joined his old friends at the Danish audio company Audio Group Denmark as a consultant. Rasmussen's departure from the active management of Gryphon symbolically marked the end of a great era. It was thanks to his vision and uncompromising attitude that the small Danish brand became synonymous with audiophile perfection worldwide. After the change in management, the team of engineers, led by new chief designer Tom Moller, continued to actively develop the product line. In 2019, Gryphon introduced the elegant Ethos CD player, combining the functions of a transport and a digital-to-analog converter. In fact, the first Gryphon source capable of playing both discs and high-resolution digital files. The same year saw the release of the new Sonnet Tube phono preamplifier and an update to the cable range, Vanta series. One of the major premieres was the flagship Gryphon Commander preamplifier, introduced in 2021. This two-block preamplifier offered audiophiles fully discrete balanced circuitry and luxurious workmanship. It was paired with the most powerful amplifier in the company's history, the Gryphon Apex, released in 2022. Weighing almost 200 kilograms, the Apex is capable of delivering 210 watts per channel in pure Class A, at 8 ohms, and over 1,000 watts at 1 ohm load. This approximately $100,000 device has become Gryphon's new benchmark. Its giant dual mono chassis has 32 transistors per channel and a total power supply filtering capacity of several farads. Continuing with the theme of sources, Gryphon has taken an unexpected step on the fully analog side, the Gryphon Apollo vinyl turntable. This project, presented to a limited circle of audiophiles around 2018, was the result of a collaboration between Rasmussen and his team with legendary vinyl master Helmut Brinkmann and the Danish company Autophon. It is worth noting that Gryphon still conducts all development and production in its homeland, Denmark. Even after Rasmussen's departure, the company has not changed its quality control principles. Each component and each board undergoes multi-stage testing and has an individual test certificate. In 2025, Gryphon Audio Designs celebrated its 40th anniversary, marking the occasion with a logo redesign and the launch of several new products. In particular, the long-awaited successor to the Diablo 300 integrated amplifier was presented, the Diablo 333 model, in which engineer Tom Moller managed to surpass the legendary ancestor in almost all parameters. The new model, dubbed by the company as the best integrated amplifier in the world, has an updated design, even more sophisticated circuitry and increased power reserves, continuing the tradition of powerful Gryphon amps. A completely new compact speaker system, the Gryphon EOS 5, designed for use in small rooms, was also announced. Looking at Gryphon Audio Designs' journey from a small Danish enthusiast company to one of the leaders in global high-end audio, it is easy to see the consistency of the brand's core values. These are commitment to the idea of reproducing music without distortion or limitations, a willingness to embrace technical radicalism in order to achieve this goal, and a deep respect for aesthetics. Fortunately for wealthy audiophiles, the story of Gryphon does not end there. Let's hope that the company has new chapters ahead, new mythical models and, perhaps, new heights of audio perfection. All in all, we look forward to new amazing high-end creations from this renowned brand.